Hello everyone, we are back with Omnisphere, going through what each of the parameters lets us do in shaping our sound. And finally we get round to looking at frequency modulation today. Frequency modulation is sort of abbreviated as FM. You'll see FM on quite a lot of synthesizers and stuff like that. And those old enough or who've been in the music industry long enough will have heard of the Yamaha DX7. That was the absolute prime example of FM synthesis, and it's more of a digital thing than analog, and it was quite prevalent in a lot of 80s hits. So it's known for giving these sort of like bell-like textures, glassy tones to your sound. So what makes it different to analog sound is the FM. It's this form of synthesis that's where the timbre of one waveform is modulates, and it's like a carrier and for the actual other sound. So that's where you get frequency modulation from. So you get a frequency for one sound modulated the frequency for the actual other sound. So you can take a simple waveform and make it sound really complicated. So this is what we're going to have a look at, and we're going to go through each of the parameters under the FM synthesis side of things. I'm just making sure I'm still recording. Yes, I am. So I had a horrible feeling then I forgot to press start. So we go to the synth parameter because it's easy to sort of like hear the change in the sound that FM brings if you go into use the not that it don't work on sample, it does work with sample, we'll look at that in a minute, but the synth is, you can hear it a bit more. So what I'm going to do is quickly put a triangle sound on. I'll stick a filter. Oops, that's because I double clicked. A single click, Adrian. There we go. I want low pass. We'll have rich and mogy. Turn the cut off a bit. Turn that up a bit. What have we got? That's a nice dullish sound. I don't want it to be too bright and sparkly because it gets tiring on the ears, because we're going to hear the sound quite a bit at the moment. So without FM, you get this. If I engage the FM, straight away there's a slight sound, because, well, slight difference to the sound, because you've got the sound wave now modulating the triangle wave here. So what we're going into there is, if we go back into FM, here on the modulator, we can not just use sound, we can use triangle, a saw, a noise, and then all the other waveforms. And you think, hang on, I've seen this before. That's because you can use absolutely everything that you would normally use as an oscillator. So what you've got on the main page you can actually use as a modulator source. So I sometimes like using where are we, deep, a solid German. Now if you keep an eye on that shape of this sound here, if I change the FM shape, you see it's starting to warp slightly, and as I move that slider, it alters the shape. So it sweeps through the wavetable of this modulating source here and can create subtle or dramatic changes to my sound. In this case it's quite subtle. Now if I change that, let's see, to a digital wavetable instead of bell, JD bells. See, it's quite a dramatic change to the sound now. It's more pronounced than if I used, if we go back to deep and a solid Joe, and then we've got the FM Symmetry. So that varies the span of this wavetable. If you watch that there, you can see it altering. And when we get to the far right, we're back to where we actually started. So far left and far right. All it does, that where you see 1.0, is literally puts it an octave higher. So that's what the Symmetry does. Now FM Sync, so this is like a hard sync feature that you would get on analog synths, which sort of gives a bit more of a throaty sound. And it can dramatically change, as you can see, well, see and hear. It makes a dramatic change to the sound. A lot of useful ones are, of course, naught. If you go to 0.25 round, not so much on here. I think it's about 0.5 on here. This one, sorry. Yeah, there we go. 0.563. That's quite a useful addition to the sound, and of course, one. It's a good addition. But if you're making sound effects, then the bits in between are quite useful to use. And then we'll come to the main bit. You notice I got it on boost. That sort of like pronounces a bit more the effect. If I just put normal, yeah, you see it's not as pronounced. But I'll put it on boost so you can actually hear the effect of what frequency modulation does to the main oscillator. And with what we have here is a frequency. This controls the frequency of the modulation oscillator. So, because you don't hear this at all, so it doesn't change the pitch of your original. What we've got here, we've got a triangle. So, moving this will not. It alters this, but it will not alter the triangle waveform sound. So, when this is set to minimum, it'll produce like an LFO. So it gives pitch effects, so it gives like an LFO effect. But as you move it along, you'll see these little like notches. This is where you get more useful sounds. So 0.249. Now if I want it in between, it sounds really off key. Great for sound effects, but not if you're making lead sounds. So if you go to 0.5 where we had it before, and 0.75-ish, and then on full. So what do these notches represent? So they represent sort of following ratios of half, 1:1, 1:1 and a fifth, or 1:2. So it just makes it sound a little bit more complicated than what it is. And if you want to center that back to the middle, hold Control on your keyboard and just click it, and it'll send the sliders back to the original setting. Now your depth, that controls the modulating depth, so how much of it does it actually sort of affect your sound. So it's quite evident, far left, not much effect. The more I move it to the right, the more effect you get. So that is the frequency modulation section in Omnisphere in a nutshell. And just to demonstrate what you can do in a very simple way, this is if we can find it again, there we go, FM Moogie. This is a very simple patch I put together using just the bits that we've just looked at. So and in past videos I've talked about LFOs, and that's what I've used here. So what we've looked here, you got here is a triangle, a rich Mogi filter cut off. I've not touched the envelopes or the amp envelopes, the mod envelopes, not touched those. We've done a couple of LFOs. Wrong part. We've done two LFOs modulating the FM depth and FM shape. And if we go into the FM, you'll see that I've modulated that. It starts there and just goes up and down slightly. FM shape starts there, goes up and down slightly. So I haven't done an awful lot, and I had a bit of FX on. I'll play it without the effects first, so you get the full effect, so to speak. Just make sure I've got nothing on auxiliaries. No, I haven't. See how it pulses up and down slightly. So if I bring these two effects on, you get like a CS80 Blade Runner type sound. there we go, the FM synthesis section of Omnisphere. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, ding that bell and you'll be notified when the next one is, and subscribe to the channel. And I will catch you in the next one when we will get round to looking at ring modulation. Take care for now.